Okay.
Okay. Oh wait, I forgot to deal with the shades.
You did forget.
Alright, we're good. Hold on. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Merry Christmas.
I was recently interviewed about RLCraft by BisectHosting, who is the official sponsor of RLCraft. This is normally a private podcast for their show, the Bisect Bi-Weekly, meant for Bisect partners only. However, they were kind enough to give me permission to upload the full unedited podcast for you guys. So I'm really excited to share this finally. This was recorded live on October 16th. They asked me a bunch of questions all about RLCraft. We dive deep into its history, and I answer questions from other Bisect partners who were watching at the time. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about RLCraft and how it all sort of evolved, how it came to be, upcoming plans and ideas. It was just a lot of fun. Thank you, Bisect Hosting, for having me on. Thank you, Martin, the Bisect team member who interviewed me during this. I had a blast. Anyway, I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas and enjoy the podcast.
Hello?
Yo.
Hey. Oh, well,
I'm getting coffee. I'm trying to make it like really quick before the...
No, you're good. I ran downstairs and I got gamer subs and then spilled a bunch of it over my desk. So now I have
epic.
that all over my desk, which is fun.
It's good.
His epic intro. Yeah, he did the intro with me in the call before, and I thought that my headset was I thought I was I was like, oh, I can hear myself, and he was like, oh yeah, it's an effect, Shell.
I don't know.
Very fun. So how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. Been up for a while, so we're good there.
I overslept. I almost slept through the an hour ago.
You're good. Yeah, no, I'm glad you got back to me because I was like, all right, good. We've got Shivaxi.
I can also
We can go to this voice if you like,
I think that's what we should keep it at. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So hello, I'm Shivaxi.
okay, I won't.
It's 2 p.m. for Martin. I've been up for a while. Listen, it's a weekend. We'll see. Yeah. So, okay. So let's kind of just start off. You've had RLCraft since 2018?
Yeah, earlier than that, but
okay.
It didn't blow up until 2018 or 2019 that it blew up?
I remember hearing about it 2018, 2019.
Funny got me. October 2019. That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Sweet.
That was the initial explosion, but it existed before that. It was on CurseForge since 2018, but it also existed before that because I didn't know CurseForge existed. I was just sending the mod pack in a zip file to my friends directly through Google Drive. That's how I was getting. That was 2017.
Wow. Yeah. No, I remember when we were at we met up at TwitchCon and went out to dinner. You were talking about how you were trying to also do streaming while doing the mod pack. So is that, I know you still do streaming. Is that still a huge focus for you while you're doing RLCraft?
Right now, yeah. I mean, I didn't really push streaming until I want to say probably I think it was early 2020. It was. I know. Okay. I'm pretty sure it was after the RLCraft explosion. I didn't really try hard Twitch and streaming and all that, until after that. So the streaming thing is relatively new. I did it here and there, but I did that big partner push a couple years ago to get partner on Twitch, and now yeah, streaming is kind of what I do mostly full time.
Okay. Yeah, and then you're still maintaining RLCraft, of course, and everything. I know we had kind of talked about some things. Yeah. That is super sick. So with I guess the idea behind RLCraft, I mean, this is kind of funny, but I was talking with somebody in our company, Luke, one of our graphic designers, and I was like, some of these names on CurseForge don't really make sense. Take RLCraft. And he goes, what? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you don't know what RLCraft means? And I go, it means something? And he goes, it's real life craft. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And I was like, oh, okay. And I've been like seeing your mod pack ever like way before I started working here and everything. And I never put the two together, which is really funny. So I guess kind of like, what was your inspiration behind it? I know with like some mod packs, they have like a, kind of like a reason.
I mean, since we have like an hour, right? Do you want the long story?
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's talk about it.
So, in terms of the inspiration for RLCraft specifically, it was like I played a lot of vanilla Minecraft. I didn't get into Minecraft until version 1, I want to say 1.2.5. Because I distinctly remember the swamp update, so I know I played before that, and I think the swamp update was like 1.3 or something. I could be wrong. I don't remember, but I always played survival, on servers that I just hosted myself for friends. I loved, I really got into it. Minecraft was not something like when it blew up originally coming out. I was like, I didn't know what it was, I saw, oh, it's like a Lego block game for kids, right? I'm not going to be interested in
that's
that.
That's fair, yeah.
Right? I think that's what everybody kind of thought.
That's kind of fair, yeah. I mean, I guess that's like the same thing with like Roblox as well when it first came out.
Right, yeah. And then my older friend actually was like, yo, you got to play this. It's actually pretty cool. I was like, all right, sure, I'll give it a try. And then I played it almost as like, just as like a joke, because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get into this. And then I got into it. So it was like, I was like, oh wow, this is actually really cool. Because like the thing that Minecraft did that no other game really did at the time, or I think still kind of doesn't do, and I guess this is more on a simplistic level because it is blocks, but a fully procedural, like, nearly infinite world that's entirely destructible and creatable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was something that was really appealed to me. I was like, oh, this is actually really dope. So I played the crap out of vanilla survival with my friends, and we had crazy worlds from long goes, like 1 point. I think we had a crazy world on like a 1.4 Minecraft.
Wow,
1.6.
Yeah.
I still have the full file somewhere. It was a massive world. We just built. I remember like it was like that time where you just like you got online and just played with your friends and just kind of like lived in this universe, like a different universe world. I remember we built a bridge across the entire ocean, like a physical bridge, a minecart rail system across the ocean, because our spawn for that world was on this tiny island in the middle of nowhere.
Oh man!
So the nearest land was like 5,000 blocks away. So we built this massive bridge for a rail cart system, so people who joined could just ride a cart over, and you get in the cart and then go AFK for like 5 minutes until you showed up on the mainland.
Those were the days back in Minecraft, yeah.
Right, and so it sort of stemmed from that, because I always wish there was more to do in survival. I love the vanilla survival, but I saw like, I'm like, man, it's almost like it's it's very sandboxy. There's a lot of, it's very bare bones, and I'm like, there's so much more that could be done here. And I definitely took a lot of inspiration from games like Skyrim and stuff like that. And the RL actually comes from a previous mod that I made for Unreal back in 2008. So Unreal from 1998 is my favorite game ever, which some people probably don't know, but they might have heard of Unreal Tournament, which was the sequel to Unreal. But Unreal was a single player game. You crash land on an alien planet, you're the last survivor, and you have to fight aliens and escape. And my favorite game ever. And I made RL Coop, or co-op, which was at the time real life or realistic. I hadn't really decided, but that's where the RL comes from. And that was also another sort of realistic overhaul. Me and my friend Bleeder, he did all the coding, or most of the coding. I did some, but I suck at coding. So he did like 90% of the coding for me. And I kind of organized and had all the ideas and structured like I knew exactly how I wanted everything to be. And so we added all these crazy mechanics like hit location, like individual body part location damage and damage scaling and new bleeding mechanics, and you had to manually heal. We created our own inventory system. Like we went all out because Unreal is very old school shooter where you just run over items to pick them up and run over health and it applies automatically, things like that. And I wanted to make the like original Unreal campaign, a much more like simulator sort of like survival type of game, and I did that with RLCoop. So when I started modding for Minecraft, and I didn't get into modding till much later in Minecraft, so around like 2016, I want to say, that's when I started just messing with stuff, and I learned about Forge, and then like how you could use a Forge loader to load all the different mods, and that's where I started finding mods. I don't even think it was CurseForge at the time. It was probably other websites.
I think it was back then Technic, right?
Maybe. I can't remember for the life of me. But it started with just downloading random mods that I thought were interesting, and then I sort of started going towards that, like, oh well, I would love to make Minecraft survival more survival, what I mean? I want to add to the survival experience, so I started finding mods that pertain to that, and then the ball just got rolling. One thing led to another. Here I am collecting and configuring all these different mods to like curate a specific experience. And and then RLCraft was sort of born, and I called it RLCraft as like a joke, originally, because it was me and my friend Bleeder again, who we played RLCraft together. I was like, oh Bleeder, I'm putting together this sick mod pack, and he's like, what are you gonna call it? And I'm like, I don't know, we'll call it RLCraft because I made RLCoop in Unreal, and it was like it was not a serious sort of like name thing, right?
Yeah,
it just kind of happened.
And now it's kind of like the basis for a lot of packs on CurseForge. Which is kind of insane, yeah.
So there's like the origin story, the RL comes from the mod I made for Unreal, and then it's always just about that, like, I really like that sort of open, in-depth survival experience. So I was just looking for mods that kind of curated to the game that I wanted to play,
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I know, like, RLCraft has become such, I guess, like a staple for so many mod packs. And I mean, I guess like it for a while was, I remember the first time I heard about RLCraft was when I was working at Best Buy. I was working at Geek Squad, and our senior technician was like, we were talking about Minecraft one day because we were working on this computer, and the kid had like gotten a virus and it was stuck on the Minecraft screen. And he was like, yeah, dude, he's like, oh, I can't wait to go back home. He's like, yeah, my friends and I just started this RLCraft world. And instantly I was like, what is RLCraft? And I went back home and looked at it, and I remember like playing it for like 15 minutes, and I was like, I can't play this without friends because this is way too hard and too challenging, and convinced some friends to play with me. But yeah,
that's epic. Yeah, I think a lot of the I think a good bit of the challenge was it was mostly like not knowing, once you kind of learn the mechanics and what you're supposed to do, it definitely becomes easier. But I think what really caught people's attention with RLCraft was, and I've heard this a lot. I've had people, send me emails and messages and DMs and whatever about this, and they say, like, thank you for RLCraft. It really, got me into Minecraft again. And they say, and I totally agree with this, is that it's like playing Minecraft for the first time, because
it really is. Yeah.
You don't know anything. You don't know what you're doing. There was no, like, back when I played, I don't even know if there was a wiki first thing. There might have been, but I didn't know about it. So like, I didn't even know how to craft sticks, So it was like, I was like, you think like, oh my God, there's this open world. What can I do? Can I do anything? Can I do everything? And you just start like messing with the crafting table and trying to make random whatever, and so like that was, I think, one of the big allures to Minecraft, is just like figuring out everything you could do. And I think RLCraft brought that same feeling to the table, because it was like I said, people told me it was like playing Minecraft for the first time all over again, and just figuring everything out, and learning all the intricate, details of what you could and couldn't do, and what all the different features and what there was to do, and that was kind of one of the big allures, is just figuring it out, right? So I think in that sense, like, it was, I think it hit for people a lot just because of that, you know. I've said before, like, you know, people ask me, oh, how did you make RLCraft blow up so good, so big? And I'm like, I didn't plan to, you know. It just I made something that I wanted to play. My intention was never, you know. I didn't make it with the plan of like, yes, this will become the largest mod pack in the world. You know, that wasn't on my mind at all.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. It just happened, and that was, I think, one of the funny things is like I didn't have a wiki or anything for people to like learn how to do anything, you know, because I didn't expect it to blow up. And I made the video that I made, the beginner's guide. I made that for my friends, you know, to get my friends into it, to help them get started. So like, because I whenever I invited a new friend, you know, to RLCraft or somebody from my community, because I was like pushing YouTube at the time, so I had like a Discord community with like you know, some YouTube subscribers there, and I would get them into RLCraft and we would play. But I would have to teach them like from the ground up. I'm like, okay, you have to do this. You gotta, you know, get the flint to make the flint axe to cut down trees, and then you chop them with the stick. You know, like I had to explain everything, and I just got so tired of explaining every single person because there's so much, you know. And I knew what to do because I made the dang thing, but nobody else knew. Right? Nobody knew you couldn't punch trees and like how to get wood. And so I had to explain, and it was like for every single person, I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna make a video. Screw it. I'm just gonna make a video to help my friends, you know, so that anytime anybody asks me about RLCraft next time, you know, I link them the video. I make the video. What happens? It blows up and gets 5 million views. Okay.
Wow.
Like,
wow.
God damn it. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's like, it's so impressive too to see how, you know, it does feel like a different game. It feels like you're playing something that's not even Minecraft related at all. I mean, and it's crazy because you didn't really change much of the textures of anything. There's no like custom texture pack to make it, you know, ooh, grass looks like this and all this. It's just that feel of, you know, like you were saying, like you have to get flint and like turn it into an axe, and then there's a thirst bar, and like
very gameplay focused.
Yeah, and you've got all this stuff now that you've got to worry about, not just me build house, me set up farm, me done. Like that's
about the no texture pack, like I've gotten people asking me like, oh, why don't you include like an official texture pack or an official music pack and stuff like that, and so I didn't do that on purpose because I knew one of my favorite things ever is like using my own texture packs and my own shaders, you know, and listening to my own music when I play Minecraft. So I figured, you know, there's probably other people with the same sort of mentality. They're gonna want to use their own. Minecraft's great for that, you know, for using your own shaders, your own texture packs and stuff like that. So I didn't want to like, I guess like force a certain way for it to be, or like rely on a certain thing, or it's like not gonna work as well kind of thing. You know, I just wanted it to be compatible with like everything, you know, and let people kind of I guess in their own sense like mod it to their heart's content in terms of like, you know, what shaders they want to use, what textures they want to use.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's not a light mod pack at all. It is definitely very modded, very heavily modded, and it's really cool. And it's nice that you also took like the time to sit there and work through all these quests and stuff like that aren't needed to progress in the mod pack, because there are a lot of mod packs that are very quest focused, and this one just isn't, but they still have plenty of quests that you can do if that's the route that you want to take. So it's really like you're appealing to pretty much everybody with anything they want to do. I remember like one of the things that I was like talking with one of my friends about it is, you know, if you want to go off and explore, there's tons of stuff to explore. If you want to go off and build, there's so many different building mods in this that you can just build to your heart's content. You know, and it's just so cool to see how you put all that together. And I mean, it's just you, right?
Okay, so I guess that's kind of the next story arc here. So
okay.
I eventually I found CurseForge, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It has a place I can actually upload the mod pack, and I figured out how to do it so that it would work, and then people can just use the launcher to install it. Awesome. I don't have to keep sending it to my friends over Google Drive, right? So my RLCraft started, I think, on 1.10 Minecraft. I don't know if there's a version of that exists anymore. I don't have it. It's probably just lost to time if it was a thing. 1.11 was where it really where like 1.0 came out, right? Oh, and I remember, it's funny. I remember not releasing it on CurseForge for a while on purpose because I didn't want to put it out there without a certain feature.
Okay.
And that was the one of the big parts of RLCraft is that the mob spawners break automatically. And that was something I always I knew from the get-go that I wanted. I'm like, okay, I don't want, because I have a lot of things in the game, like all the skills and levels that you can, do, and abilities, they require XP.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the whole point of RLCraft is adventuring and going out and doing dungeons to get XP to level up all your skills and stuff. So mob farms and stuff had to not be a thing. How am I going to do that? Well,
I never actually thought of that.
Right, because that's the thing in Minecraft. You can, people build the mob farms all around the spawners, and they just have like a little AFK farm, and they get 1 million XP and blah blah blah. And I always hated that. I'm like, oh man, this is so cheesy, dude. It kind of defeats half the game, half the point of the game. So I had what's the word? Requested, I guess. Requisitioned. Yeah. I don't know. I commissioned, I guess, a mod.
Okay.
From another developer. I found there's like the Minecraft modders Discord or something, and I asked about if anybody would be willing to help me out making this mod for me because I can't code to save my life. So this guy named Pyrofab, who was very nice, and I talked and told him exactly what I wanted and needed, and he created what ended up becoming, I think, mob spawn control or mob. Oh God, I can't remember the name. It's like a very sort of like a generic name, but anyway, it allowed me to finally have control over the mob spawners exactly how I wanted.
Interesting.
And I told him exactly how I wanted it. Like I curated the whole thing. Like the idea was there in my head and how I want it to work. And the mob spawners will break after you kill this many mobs from them and blah blah blah. That way, they cannot be cheese. They can't be turned into a farm. And I did not release RLCraft without that because I knew that was one thing. I'm like, for RLCraft to be like out there in the public, it needs this. Or it's just going to be very like sort of cheesable. So that eventually came out as 1.0 on CurseForge, and it was 1.11 Minecraft. And then it went up to 1.4 was like the last update for 1.11, and I finally made the jump to 1.12. I didn't do it for a long time because there was a lot of mods that I was like using that were like 1.11 only. 1.12 was like new, and I'm like, oh man, but I really don't want to go to this. And they changed how shields work, and I was like, these shields are now stupid. But like, well, because shields used to only block partial damage, and I kind of had a system revolved around that in 1.11. But in 1.12 they made it shield block all damage.
You had like parrying and stuff, right?
No, not in 1.11. No.
Okay.
We have it. We actually just recently added stuff like that now with the whole new shield break mod.
Okay, that's
for 2.9.
That's what I'm thinking about. Yep.
Yeah. Mob spawner control. That was the name of it by Pyrofab. Yeah. So that mod was made specifically for me for RLCraft.
Wow.
So, but in terms of like creating the mod pack from 1.0 to 2.5. So like 2.0 was when I first released RLCraft on 1.12. And then 2.5 was the last version I released right before it blew up because of the video on YouTube taking off. After that, so pretty much from like, you know, from the beginning of its inception to 2.5, it was just me working on it, and also me getting some help from other modders like PyroFab to create specific mods that I needed or wanted for RLCraft, you know. So that was about it. And then the rest was just me writing all the scripts for all the custom like recipes that we have, and configuring all the mods to work with each other. I remember making a ton of bug reports to other modders about like, hey, you know, your two mods kind of like hate each other. It'd be really cool if we could get this fixed. They didn't know until somebody like me threw it in a mod pack together. So like I was reaching out to the community and letting, you know, the modders knowing about like some of the issues with the mods and things like that. And they were all really cool and helpful, most of them. And you know, fixing some of the bugs and getting things working, and even adding features that I had requested. I was like, you know, it'd be really cool. Like, I love this mod, but there's like one thing I really would love it to do that would like make my mod pack, you know, better or whatever, you know, whatever. But like, and some of them were really cool. I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually a great idea. I'll implement that. And so I got a lot of stuff just like that, really, up to 2.5, and then it blew up. And since 2.5, you know, when I think it was like 500,000 downloads in a week is what ended up happening. Fun fact, when you're like the only person testing your mod pack, you might miss a few bugs. So when you suddenly get 500,000 players playing your mod pack, some issues come to light.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Oh boy, let me tell you, there were some issues. There were a lot. I mean, there were dupe bugs out the wazoo. Like, a really simple one with the crafting table. There were crashes everywhere I had not even known about, you know, because it was all very experimental. I hadn't even played through everything that I had set up. Like, I designed it and was like, oh yeah, I bet this will be cool when I get to this stage. And then like, I never got to that stage because I never made it that far. You know, so like people were like just suddenly going ham on the mod pack and getting the end game stuff and like, hey, you know, end game is super broken, right? And I'm like, no, I don't know that. So it was really overwhelming, honestly. And that's when a lot of people started coming in being like, you know, hey, I'm a modder, or hey, I'm a coder, and I would love to help, you know, because this is really cool. I love this. You know, what do you need? And I was like, oh shit, okay. Well, we have all these things and crashes, and oh, you do this? Okay, cool. Could you take a look at this? Because I don't know what this is. Oh, you're the mod developer for this mod? Oh, that's awesome. I love this mod. It has a huge problem over here. Can you please help? You know, like it just started like that, and eventually, I guess, like a team just sort of formed. You know, it was all very natural, which was very cool. You know, I didn't go out and like hire people. You know, I didn't. Nobody, including myself, got paid for any of this. It was all very much a passion project, and it was so cool to see all these people come together. Through just passion for the game, for the mod pack, you know, and people really loved the idea that I had sort of curated here with RLCraft and what I was going for, and I got so much support just from that. And so like Vonnie and Zero here right now in the chat, and those are two people who are on like the RLCraft team, I would say, you know. Hi, Zero.
Hello, people.
So Zero's the creator of Trinkets and Baubles, which is one of the bigger
Baubles. Okay.
Trinkets and Baubles. This is one of the bigger mods that we have, and he's literally just done so much for RLCraft. You know, he's like, I think Zero, didn't you like recode like half, if not all, of your mod to like help RLCraft and stuff? And it was like stuff I think you had planned to do, but I know some modders like really. One of the modders, Vader, I believe, was he's the developer of Better Survival, and he had not worked on Better Survival in like 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And then when RLCraft blew up and how many and he saw like his mod just skyrocketed in downloads, he told me it had inspired him to come back to modding. And so he came back just because RLCraft blew up with his mod in it, and he just got inspired again to like fix everything and like make it work for everything that was in RLCraft. And he's still helping us right now. He's actually doing another update for us for 2.92, which is coming out soon. Yeah, and we spoke to like Lycanite is another huge awesome dude, and he's, you know, obviously the creator of Lycanite mobs, which is like one of the biggest mods in RLCraft, and he implemented all sorts of fixes and features that we wanted, you know, and ideas that I had, and I was like, you know, I really love if we could do this, and he's like, that's a great idea, and then it was all just very, very natural like that, and I love that, you know. I wouldn't do it any other way, honestly.
That was something that I had learned when, you know, you and I got together for dinner that one night when we were talking with like Nick, was how passionate you are about getting like the perfect idea down. Like you have this idea and you want it to work, and pretty much like you'll go and find somebody who can make it work. Yeah. Until it's released. And I that was like something that I learned, and I was like, that's really cool, because, you know, there's some, you know, mod pack creators out there who just put everything together and they're able to put out, you know, all these mod packs so quickly because they're just putting mods together. But you really take your time to focus on like the little little tiny its and bitty pieces of every single thing. Like, I know even like we were talking about, I don't want to leak anything, but we were talking about something to do with mobs, and when you were telling me about that, I was like, wow, that's actually really, really cool. I would have never thought about that.
Are you talking about the new feature we have coming out?
Yeah.
Oh no, I just put a video out on that, so no, I can leak away. Basically, so I had this idea. One of the things that always bothered me about Minecraft, and this is something I had thought of years ago, just playing vanilla survival, is that I was always annoyed that when you shoot a mob and you just happen to be like, you know, 16 blocks away, or what, you know, 16 or above that, I think is the range. They just sit there and just take it and just die, because there's no, you know what I mean? There's no AI for them thinking about, oh, they're being shot, you know, oh, what should they do? No, they just sit there and die. And I was like, this is annoying, and it's very cheesy. And I wish there was some realistic option, like they would go and search for you, you know, or something, they know maybe where they're getting shot from and try to go to that area. And that is now becoming a reality in 2.92. Mel Dixon, who is a super awesome coder and has joined our team just because he's passionate about coding. Mel Dixon actually told me he doesn't even like RLCraft that much. he just likes to make mods. And
that's funny.
He wanted to help out, and I was like, it's awesome. So, but yeah, so Mel Dixon was able to take my idea, and it's part of RL Tweaker now, which is one of the mods we created specifically for RLCraft. And it's called Investigative AI, and basically it's pretty simple in the fact that they get shot, and it tells them to path to the area where they got shot from. And we can change, like, if they will try to investigate below a certain health percentage, or there's like an overall chance, you know, so it's not like fully consistent. We're going to add like a radius, so they search in an area instead of just going right to the block that you're standing at. It's really cool. And it works. And like, I showed it off in a video recently that I just put out on my channel. And I'm really excited for this because it's like something I've wanted in Minecraft for such a long time. So now the mobs will actually be smart enough.
That's so cool.
To go to where they got shot from, you know. And it's cool because you can use this, like, it's both an advantage and a disadvantage, right? Disadvantage because now they come in for that booty whether you're ready or not. And then it's an advantage because you can also use that to kind of lure them in the traps and stuff. So you can shoot them from a specific location and then move, and they'll still go to the location they got shot from, not to where you are, you know, because they know the last shot came from over here. So like, okay, we're gonna go search over here, and then you could kind of like lure them into a trap. And it's just really cool. It opens up so many new gameplay possibilities, and something I've wanted for so long, and I'm really excited for it. So
that is so cool to hear, just like those little tiny parts, you know, of stuff that people wouldn't really think about, you know, right off the bat. Just how you were saying how like you know, earlier with like the mob the dungeons breaking and stuff like that. Like that's not something that I would have thought about, you know, right off the bat, of like, hey, I want to do this, but you know, everything's XP based, and then
Yeah.
you know, now you're like, oh well, I want XP farms not to exist because that would probably be broken. Which now that you think about it, when you say it, it's like, wow, okay, yeah. And when you think about it, it's like, oh, that actually does make sense. Like that would be totally broken if I can just level up like my damage all the way from just sitting there, and then you know now I'm like one-shotting dragons. So
which people already eventually do that anyway.
Of course, probably, yeah.
Yeah, that was, you know, it's funny because that was one thing that was sort of an accidental thing, is like I didn't realize with the mods that I had added and everything, there are like, I mean, I saw ahead a lot, and you know, kind of like the XP thing. Like I knew immediately, like, oh, I gotta, you know, XP farms are gonna be broken, so I gotta do something about that. Like I saw ahead in that sense for a lot of things. There's also a lot I didn't see. You know, like I said, when you make something this big, it's like, how can one person find everything? And so there's a lot of things you can do, items you can combine, skills you can merge together in certain ways that I did not like realize. And people can get so OP, you know.
Wow.
It's I think it ended up kind of just becoming a thing with RLCraft, where it's brutally hard at the difficult, mid game is a struggle, and then end game is like super awesome, and you just end up being like a god, and you know, you just go around one-shotting everything, and and people really like that. People really like that payoff.
Yeah.
So it's something I left in, you know, because I was like, this is actually cool, and it's actually really hard to do. Not everybody can do it. And so I feel like I've said this before, like I feel like I hit a certain sweet spot with the difficulty of RLCraft, and I don't know if it was like by accident or whatever, but I always hear like a perfect mix of like RLCraft is way too hard, I can't play this, to RLCraft is way too easy, make it harder, you know, and then everywhere in between. So I think I hit a balance, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know, because I hear both sides all the time, and I'm like, I think I hit a nice sweet spot. I'm just gonna kind of leave the difficulty where it is, because it's fun, you know. And of course I've changed stuff around now. There were things that were maybe too easy or too OP, and you know, we've been messing with that, and we added more end game content, because that was one thing I think was very lacking, is that, you know, once you got to end game, it was like, oh well, what now, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we kind of pimped out the lost cities in the 2.9 update and made that really crazy, so you have to have like everything maxed out if you're gonna tackle that. And we changed like the like and I boss progression and stuff to kind of match that as well. So it's just, yeah, it's been just overall, everything's just been a super crazy, just like wild ride and kind of like learning experience. And like game director is sort of something I've always wanted to do, as like a, you know, I've been playing video games since I was like 5, you know, on DOS. I grew up with DOS gaming.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. No, but like actually, I'm so glad my dad showed me stuff like early, like you know, playing floppy disk DOS games. I had this top-down like indie car game, I think was the first game I ever played, and you know, it's just pixels, and then when you crash, all the cars blow up into like little triangle pieces. And that was awesome. You know, I played One Must Fall 2097 from Epic Mega Games, back when they had Mega in the name. That was 1994. You know?
Wow.
And yeah, and so like gaming has always been, I've always loved gaming. I know I wanted to do something with gaming when I grew up. I didn't expect it to be this. Yeah. You know, but I'm not upset about it. I love game direction, because I like you said, I know, I really know what I want to do. Like I have that goal, and I'm like, I know I want it to be this way, and I know I've used Unreal Engine a lot. I've done Unreal editing. I've made my own maps. I've made my own mods, and so I have like a decent understanding of like how games work on like a code level. I can't code, but I can understand it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I know how things can be done, you know, and that's, I think, also helped a lot in the creation of RLCraft. I've talked to modders, and I'm like, I would really love if this could be a thing, and they're like, well, I don't know if I can do that thing. And I'm like, well, what if you do it this way? You know, if you think about it like this, if this, then that. And they're like, oh shit, no, that'll actually totally work. And then they go and do it, you know. And it's like,
that's actually,
really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's just so cool to be able to like to do that and yeah. So like game direction, I love this. You know. So
yeah,
it's what I wanted to do. So
it's always important to have somebody on there. It's always important to have somebody like that on the team.
Fani knows what I'm talking about because so Fani has made a lot of stuff for us. Like he redid the fishing mod, and he's also the creator of Shield Break, which is Shield Break is one of the mods that I was like, I know I want this. This is my idea. I want it to work this way. And Fani's the one who eventually made it work that way. Thank you, Fani, because I know that one was a pain, but we got it exactly how I wanted it. I'm super happy with it, and we're even adding more stuff like this update for 292. I said, Fani, I would love if we can have can we apply potion effects to mobs that you parry? When you do a perfectly timed block,
Ooh.
I want to apply a potion effect to the mob that you blocked, and he made that happen. So.
That is so cool. Just those little tiny details is really what sets RLCraft apart, I think, and sets you apart, I guess, as a mod pack creator or game director. I mean, even if you want to call it that. I mean, it's everybody kind of needs that one person on that team that can kind of see it from a different point of view. And I've talked with one of our graphic designers and I were talking, and he was like, I love going to people outside of the graphic design team to talk about a design that I made because they see it differently than a designer might see it. Right. And I guess that's that same concept ever since we talked about that has kind of carried over into everything that I've done, with Bisect pretty much, and even what you were doing with, RLCraft. So it's definitely really cool to see how you kind of form this team that was I guess you could compare it to the Avengers kind of thing, where it was you guys weren't supposed to come together, really. You didn't go out looking for people, but you guys all came together, and here you are. Now well, here you are. Now you have this massive mod pack. You're really doing your thing. Definitely a huge inspiration for a lot of people. I know that. Yeah. And we love, coming by, checking in on your streams, or, just randomly chatting with you guys. So it's definitely cool to see everything there. And I do have a question.
Of course, go.
What made you add dragons? That's
listen. I love dragons. I think they've been my favorite mythological, whatever words, creature since I was a kid. My mom was always somebody who was into. She was into Dungeons and Dragons, right? My dad too. Actually, my dad hosted D&D nights every weekend.
Wow. Okay.
So I think probably some of it stemmed from that. And my dad and my mom had they had posters of D&D stuff, dragon stuff. I remember my mom had this little dragon sculpture thing, and we watched movies back in the day that I just always thought they were so cool. The one with the Elfangor, right? The fluffy dragon thing. What movie is that?
The fluffy dragon.
Never-ending Story, is that it? Never-ending Story.
Okay. No idea.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, Fani's got it. Yeah, movies like that as a kid and stuff, and we don't mention the horse death in the movie. That one's so sad. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I've always loved dragons and Skyrim, of course. I love Skyrim so much. I never got into Oblivion and Morrowind, really.
Interesting.
But, Skyrim with the dragons coming back, and it was just so, I don't know, something about it is so cool. So I came across the Ice and Fire mod one day, and I was just like, oh my god, this actually is really neat. That you can have dragons in the overworld and you can do all the stuff with them. And so I started implementing it into the mod pack and tweaking all the settings to get it the way I wanted. And it really just stemmed from that.
Wow. That's really cool. Cause I mean, I know dragons are just kind of, I'd say the unofficial mascot of both Shivaxi and RLCraft, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So,
I was another thing actually I kind of forgot to mention is that things like that with the dragons. When I was creating RLCraft, I was always wanting to enhance the vanilla survival. So when I added stuff to RLCraft, and I always got a lot of. There was some flack about this, like, oh yeah, RLCraft, real life. Oh yeah, there's totally dragons in real life, Shivaxi. And I'm like, listen, okay? It's not about real life, our real life. It's about Minecraft real life. And in Minecraft, dragons do already exist with the Ender Dragon.
True.
You know?
True.
So I was like, it wasn't such a far stretch to imagine they could also be in the overworld. You know, when I added stuff to RLCraft, I always wanted it to sort of fit with the vanilla lore of Minecraft in some way.
Yeah.
You know, while having that realistic difficulty curve, right? I'm not going to add in, you know, it's why I avoid tech mods like the plague, because Minecraft just doesn't feel like, you know, I'm not gonna add guns and AK-47s and nukes, you know, to Minecraft, because it just doesn't fit with Minecraft in my brain, you know, like I can't fathom that actually being in that universe, because Minecraft is always like swords and shields and axes, and it feels very like Victorian or, you know, kind of like old school medieval time kind of style, right?
I always got the medieval vibe, yeah.
Right, Minecraft. Right. So guns and technology stuff, you know, don't work for me. And there was like, I remember when I was doing the mod pack, there was already 1.5 million tech mod packs, and I'm like, God, we just do not need another one. You know, and I think maybe that's another, I've heard that actually is another reason people loved RLCraft, is because it was so different. You know, everybody was making these tech mod packs.
It was
Here
very
I am
different.
making some crazy survival medieval
yeah
pack, you know. So I think that also helped. But yeah,
I definitely remember a lot of like big tech mod packs being a huge thing around the time that I heard about RLCraft.
Right.
And you know how popular they were. So yeah, it was a very like huge change, and I think people did like the fact that it was like so difficult and stuff, because I remember the guy that I worked with, you know, he, you know, constantly was saying how I was like, oh dude, I was like, how far like in are you? He was like, probably like 2%. And I was like, you've been playing the pack for like 2 months. And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's a very long pack. And I was like, okay, all right.
It took, I think it took Forge Labs. Does anybody remember? It was like Forge Labs took, I think, 6 or 9, somewhere between 6 and 9 months to kill his first dragon.
Wow.
In the game. And then for other people, they can do it in a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, it's so different for people, and it's really cool.
I think it just really depends on like the style that you're playing too.
Yeah. And there's so many ways to play in RLCraft as well.
And that's just so cool, seeing like, you know, how many different ways you can beat the game. And I guess like that goes back to like the Minecraft thing of like, you know, in original Minecraft, you know, you've got different ways you can beat the game. You've got different ways that you can get to the end, things like that. You know, you can speed run, you can take your time, you can do whatever, but RLCraft just really expands on that.
Yeah, I was looking at, I've saved some screenshots because I wanted to do like a kind of like a 2.9 release video. Once 2.9.2 is out, I want to do like a follow-up guide, like an advanced guide. Yeah. And so I was gonna kind of give a shout out to some of the people who had left some really nice comments. I've gotten comments. I've gotten so many comments and messages and stuff, and I feel bad because I haven't saved them all, and I kind of want to go back through my emails and kind of save some of them. But like there were some here I wanted to just post, especially about relating to like the difficulty thing. The first one there, the guy said, you and whoever else worked on this mod pack are amazing. You hit that perfect sweet spot where the difficulty is high, but the survival is still fun. It's not overbearing unless the user messes up, because you give so many options for lots of things. And I totally 100% agree with that. And it's really cool to see people just loving the mod pack so much, you know? And so I've just been saving a lot of these little comments and stuff that I've been getting from people, because it's really nice to see.
That is really cool. That's really sweet too. And that's I think that'll make a really cool video when you put it all together.
Yeah,
so
I'm not lazy, you know?
I definitely can't wait for the new update. It sounds like it's going to be huge. And I think that's going to be really nice.
Yeah, I'm excited for 2.9 too. It's like with the shield break thing, it's funny because we were talking about how like that whole idea of like game director style. I know what I want. And so I was kind of thinking like, oh well, if we time a block, maybe it should like stun the mod. Stun the mob that you parry. Like he should be dazed for a second, right?
Ooh,
it's like,
okay.
Well, how do we do that? Well, I could ask Fani to like, dive into the hard code of Mojang and ask him to like, oh well, can you make sure you set the X and Y acceleration velocity values to 0 for a second so they can't move? That would be overcomplicated, which is why I said, why don't you just make it apply a potion effect? And then we can use the paralyzed potion effect from Lycanite that's already in the game. And then we just give them paralyzed for like 2 seconds, So that's what's gonna end up happening is when you, in 292, when you time a block with a shield, it'll give the mob paralyzation for like 1 to 2 seconds. So you have that like little like second that you stun them,
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that'll definitely. Does that work with like another player as well, or just mobs?
It should work with players too. Yes.
That's gonna be so cool. Wow.
Yeah, it could make PvP kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's like some creator servers and stuff like that they make videos about it and stuff. So that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
To see how that changes PvP.
We've had to completely like remake mods entirely too. So like one of the big ones, Tough as Nails, that's the one that adds the thirst bar and the temperature stuff and like all the seasons. And that mod just wasn't being updated at all. We reached out to the developers, but they had no interest in like continuing for 1.12, which is fine. And so Charles, one of our biggest coders that came in and stuck with us for about 2 years. He moved on because he doesn't want to work on like 1.12 anymore. But he helped us so much, and he remade Tough as Nails from the ground up. It's called Simple Difficulty now, and it allowed us to really have so much more flexibility. And so Simple Difficulty was made for RLCraft, and it allowed us to add things like going into shade, cooling you down. That was never a thing. People thought it was.
Wow.
But it wasn't. And because everybody thought it was a thing, we just made it a thing. Huh. Same with like holding a torch in your hand, heating you up. That actually does work now, like a tiny amount. But we were able to add all these cool features, and Artsy, who's also in the chat, did all the UI art for that and the new heat globe. And we had the idea of like, oh, we have the outer ring showing what it feels like, while the inner globe is actually what your body temperature is. And Charles
so
super
cool.
awesome, dude. And he just did so much for RLCraft, and he did RL Tweaker, Simple Difficulty, and just helped so many other modders as well with stuff. And Mel Dixon is now who has taken over RL Tweaker, so he passed that on to Mel Dixon.
It's so awesome to see how one mod pack brings the community together so tightly. Because I mean, the reaction you had when you met Nick in person. Yeah. That was, you didn't even know it was him at first.
Like, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was so awesome, and hanging out with you guys, at dinner and everything, and hearing you two talk about like the ideas you guys had and things like that. It gave me a whole new perspective on how much actually goes into creating a mod pack or a mod or anything like that. It's not as just throw it together type as people think.
And I've gotten some shit for that too, because people are like, oh, all you did was throw a bunch of mods together and just slap them in, and it's like, no, not really. Yeah, it may have started that way, but it's like
it's developed more.
So much more. Yeah, we're all like communicating and working with each other, and there's a joke where I'm hoarding modders because I have a dev chat in my Discord, and like I keep getting all these modders from all these different mods in. Like we have the modder developer for dynamic trees, we have the guy from Better Survival, we have Lycanite now,
Wow.
So we do have like a lot of modders in our Discord, and it's funny because it's just really cool to see these people come together just like out of just passion,
That is great. That is.
Oh yeah, MJ as well, MC JTY as well from he did Lost Cities. So
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about that at dinner. That sounded really, really cool with the whole new Lost City stuff
cool.
and everything. Yeah,
it was so cool because he did Young's Better Caves and Young's Better Mine Shafts, which we started using in 292.
He's got so many mods out there.
And he's worked with us and he updated his mod for features that we wanted to, and I think we talked about that, but it's been super cool.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to take about 10 minutes for anybody who wants to ask some questions.
Yeah, I feel bad rambling so long.
No, you're good. You're good. We normally save questions, towards the end, so then we can, talk about everything.
Leave his tangent. Yeah, I don't know.
So if anybody does have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Bisect Bi-Weekly chat, and Shivaxi will be happy to answer them.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for RLCraft 2 when okay, dude. So 118 when okay, here we go. All right. Well, listen. So I guess this is a decent question, because the thing is, when I guess I'm delaying the div, I know. We're still on 1.12 Minecraft, right? And there's been, 1.13, 1.14, all the way up to 15, 16, 17, 18. Now we're on 1.19, and RLCraft is still chilling on 1.12, which isn't, I don't necessarily think, a bad thing, right? If there's a version of Minecraft, it works, and as long as it, don't fix what's not broken. That's my sort of mentality for it. I do eventually want to go to a newer version, but only because of the it was really like 1.13 to 1.16 I did not care about. The nether changes, like we already overhauled the nether ourselves, so there was no point in going up to 1.16 just for nether stuff. The new villager trading would have been super broken for what we have in the game right now, and if we do go to newer Minecraft, we're gonna have to figure out a way to change the villager trading to not be so OP. And then the big thing I want to actually with 118 and 119 is those are the versions I would go to if we do update to a new version of Minecraft, because of the depth height change. That you can now go down to like Y -64, and there's all the new cool cave generation stuff and the warden and all that. That would be a reason to go to the new version, in my opinion. It's gonna be difficult because there's a lot of mods we're using that are not that are not for for that, that are still only on 1.12 or don't have a 119 version yet. So we would be looking at probably having to recreate some stuff for sure. It just, it depends. I'm pretty comfy on 1.12 right now, and like I said, if it ain't fixed, or if it ain't fixed, don't broke it. God, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
There you go.
I can't words today, man. I do that all, I reverse shit all the time. Anyway, yeah, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I like 1.12. I don't see too much of a reason to really jump. I don't, we don't have to go to it like right now. But in the future, I think for sure it would be fun to do. And just see like what we can do with all the new stuff that's been in the new updates and everything. But it would be a pretty significant change. And someone said RLCraft 2 when it would actually be RLCraft 3. The jump from 1.11 to 1.12 went from 1.0 to 2.0. So we're on 2.0 RLCraft, all right?
Ooh.
So the next jump would be RLCraft 3.0.
So I guess to add on to that really quick, do you have any plans to release another pack, or?
I have one in my brain that I have thought about. It would be, remember how I said I wasn't going to add guns and stuff to RLCraft?
Yep.
This other mod pack I have an idea for would have guns.
Okay.
Let's just say that I have an idea for something.
I'm intrigued.
If anybody knows the game Project Zomboid, then you maybe understand what I might want to do. But I
think I've heard you talk about this. I think you talked about it briefly at dinner.
Yeah. I have an idea. It's literally just an idea. I haven't actually started anything.
Okay.
But I would love to do another mod pack. But my focus is RLCraft because
of course,
it takes up so much of my time. I would also love to like get into other game development. Like I said, I've always wanted to do like game direction stuff. Yeah. And I feel like I have a lot to offer, and I'm just like, I'm so slow with stuff, and I'm such an introvert. I don't like reach out to people and do things really, and I should do that more, maybe apply for other, like working for, I don't know, just other game companies and kind of like experiment, because I think that would be really fun. So it's something I've been slowly. I always feel like I grow up very slowly, I don't know. I always do things so much later in life than other people.
That's fair.
It's just like, I don't know, like I'm 31, right? And it's like, I feel like I haven't done as much as I could, but I'm happy with where I'm at right now. So
that's what's important. Just being happy is number one for sure.
Yeah.
I saw someone else ask, what are your thoughts on quest books, and what do you think is the best way when designing quests?
So we have a quest book system in 2.9. That was one of the big updates for 2.9, was adding the quest book. I quite like the quest book that we have. We looked for different mods that like did, there were a few mods that like, did quest stuff, and we found the one, Bonnie, what are we using? It's better questing, right? I actually did not do the quests. Better questing, yeah. I did not do the quests. I had some ideas and suggestions for quests, but all the questing was actually done by Fani, and it was also inspired by Fani. Do you remember the guy that made a Reddit post and kind of put something together? There was like a fan of RLCraft that had just like made his own little like quest thing as sort of like an idea, and I believe we worked off that because he was like, I don't want to get anything wrong here, but I think he was like, yeah, go ahead and use any of the quests that I had set up. And Fani, I think you talked to him. I didn't talk to him, but so I actually didn't do the quest. I left all the questing stuff up to Fani. Because I was so busy with other things that like the quest book was such a huge undertaking, and kudos and thanks to Fani for putting all that together, because it's like we have like 200 something quests, right? Yeah, we have his name in the 2.9 credits. Yeah. I don't remember the name. It was basically a mini quest pack that got spun out and overwrote in like 300 plus quests. Yeah. So I think quest books and questing can be done differently depending on the game. I don't know of like a super hard answer for that, K-Sax, but I really do quite like the quest book that we have in 2.9 right now. It's pretty solid.
That is sick. Yeah. I think everybody's excited for 2.9, it seems like. Someone had a question saying, what would be your favorite game to make a mod pack based off of?
My favorite game to make a mod pack based off of?
Yeah.
Like make another mod pack for another game?
I guess like how you took inspiration from Unreal for RLCraft kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like RLCraft has some very heavy like Skyrim inspiration. I don't know. I mean, actually, yeah, what Fani said, it might be Project Zomboid. It might be. I love Project Zomboid, man. It's so good. It's like just the most overkill realism to the max. I always use this as an example when talking about Project Zomboid because So if anybody doesn't know, it's a zombie apocalypse game set in the mid 90s, or just in the 90s. I think it's like 1993 in the game. And you just have to survive. And, you know, the devs are really ballsy because as soon as you start the game, it says, this is how you died. And then you just go because they know you're not going to survive, and you don't. But it's super duper realistic. Like, you know, you want to break into a house. Okay, smash the window to get in. Oh, you just cut up your hands and your wrists are bleeding and now you're dead, right? So you have to break the window with a tool. Okay, I got a tool in my hand. I broke the window. Awesome, I didn't cut myself. Leap in. Oh, you didn't clear all the glass off the windowsill, you idiot. Now you just cut up yourself and your wrists are bleeding and you die. So it's like, that's the level of realism. You have to break the window with a tool, clear the glass away, then jump in the window, you know? And like everything in the game is like that. You know, and it's I don't know, it's really fun. I think some people would find it very tedious. I find it very fun. It's an experience.
That's interesting. Okay.
There's so many in-depth, crazy mechanics in that game. It's just surreal.
That definitely sounds like something you would do.
Yeah,
that's a very you mod pack, is what I'm hearing.
Somebody else said, I think Quest really helped. Just going back to the Quest thing really quick. Quest really helped players guide them through the pack. That was the idea behind the Quest book, is like, we wanted something in game to help people sort of guide, you know. So like the very first quest for RLCraft, that's why I said it kind of depends. So for RLCraft, it was like, okay, we need to have this beginning guide thing to be like, all right, you know, you gotta get the flint to get your hatchet to cut down a tree, because nobody knew how to do that unless they watched the guide video. So now you can just learn that in game, which is really nice. And then as the quest progressed, and it goes into more complex stuff, or like really cool goals to get, you know, kill these bosses, do this. So yeah, it was like the quest book for us was like a semi walkthrough almost. And that was another thing. I did not want to upset the balance of RLCraft, so I made sure the quest book did not give you any like physical useful items. It doesn't reward weapons. It doesn't reward XP. We did like the hat system, right? So you get cool, fun hats to wear. And we made like the separate hat slot, so that you could just, you know, wouldn't take up an actual inventory space or anything like that, you know. So it's purely cosmetic stuff.
That is a cool idea. That's really awesome. And it doesn't like you said, kind of give an unfair advantage to people who just do the thing. So, well, that was awesome. And thank you, Shivaxi, for coming on.
Of course.
It has been great talking to
you. Can I answer one more thing here?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
Kasich says, if you have any mods that you would like want to show off and inspire people. There's one thing I want to say. All right, Lycanites. I love the Lycanites mod. Okay, and one of the things that sort of upsets me is a lot of people who hate on Lycanites because the monsters, the mobs, are not, you know, they don't follow the blocky style of Minecraft. And for some reason that like freaks people's brains out, and they're like, I can't comprehend this. You know, like people freak out about Lycanites models, and I don't get it, because, you know, I'm somebody who applies high-res texture packs and shaders to make everything look more realistic anyway. And so I think it works for me, but I think Lycanite deserves so much more credit than he actually gets, because I've watched him model and animate his creatures like on stream when he live streams doing it. Wow. It is so cool. He puts so much work into it. He is so clever with how he does it. And honestly, his models look sick. Some of the modeling he does is so cool. All right. And who cares if it's not super blocky Minecraft? Like, that's one of my pet peeves, man. I'm really annoyed about people who just like hate on it so hard. Like it's so cool. It's such a style, it's such a vibe, and I love it. And I think he deserves so much more credit for what he does, because he really puts a lot into his modeling, into his work, and into his animations and everything. So that's all I want to say about that. If there's anything I would tell people to go check out and like really give a hard try, it would be the Lycanites mobs. They're so cool. And everything is super configurable as well. And that, just as a side note, like if you don't like the Geonox popping out of ore, all that stuff is changeable. Like he's strived so hard to make his mod like 100% configurable. And I think that's something more modders need to sort of take note. One of the things that annoys me is mods that are just hard coded to be a certain way and you can't change any of the settings. I always believe in like having options, more, you know, creativity for the player to be able to change and set up and do anything they want with it. And not just for mod packs, but just in general. Like this is like an overall sort of gaming thing. I think that more games even need to adapt, is that configurability. I'm always such an advocate for pushing, you know, player configurability and just being able to like mess with everything and do what you want. But yeah, that's all I want to say about that. Sorry, I want to take up more time.
No, you're good. You're good. That was definitely super insightful, and thank you for taking the time to come on today. And I'm sure that everybody
fun.
Love talking to you. I know I love talking to you. It was great. So I'm gonna post everything. Here is stuff. Once the embeds load in, I'm gonna delete them. There they go. So top is Bisect Hosting. That's gonna be our Twitter, YouTube channel, our other YouTube channel that we upload some kind of fun stuff on, as well as our blog, and then all of Shivaxi stuff. So that's, you know, if you haven't heard of RLCraft, you know, it's a pretty big mod pack. There it is. Shivaxi also streams on Twitch a lot. As Max said in the chat earlier, this man streams for like 26 hours a day. He also has a YouTube channel. Go check it out, and then go follow him on Twitter, because he has promised me that he's going to start using Twitter more.
Yeah, I did.
So we'll take a look there.
Oh, it's funny, the YouTube link you sent. It does work if you just do youtube.com/Shivaxi, because my channel is that old. So
that's the one that I just pulled off your thing. Yeah. Okay, sweet. Yeah. So, hi Nick. You missed it. We were talking about you a little bit earlier.
I'm sorry. I'm so bad at Twitter, man.
So yeah, and then of course, this bi-weekly will be uploaded at some point when we finish that part. We're going to be uploading them all onto the partner site, so that everybody can listen to the past bi-weeklies as well. So feel free, drop Shivaxi a follow, go talk to him on all of his socials, play RLCraft if you haven't. Feel free to ask questions to any of the PRMs, as always, if you guys have questions about anything partnership related. Yeah, and I'm gonna end now. I'm always very awkward at ending these things because I don't actually know how to end them.
I'm so bad at selling out, so thank you for doing it for me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Use code Shivaxi.
Oh, God, here we go.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all for coming in. Make sure to check out all the links. As always, thank you guys for being amazing partners. Did want to touch really quick. If you guys have not checked to see if you are eligible for the partnership fund, we just want to make sure that people are aware of it. We have sent out reminders and things like that. So just make sure that you do that. We are closing applications for that on, I believe, the 24th. I might be wrong with that date. It might be later. So don't quote me on it. We'll put out a reminder before we close them. So, yeah.
I got your outro. Are you ready?
Oh, here we go. Awesome.
Peace! Peace!
Bye, guys. Bye, guys.
All right, sorry. Copyrighted music anyway.
Oh, here we go. Yep. Wait, how do I have to? Oh, yep. All right. Bye, guys.
Hey, if you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. And here's a little secret. We're currently testing 2.9.2 right now. There's a link on my Discord. Go try it out and feel free to leave feedback. Okay, bye.